Marjorie Taylor Greene, fresh off her final split from Donald Trump, and just weeks before she exits Congress early, showed up on 60 Minutes and completely torched the bridge behind her. She went scorched earth on Trump, calling out his failures on the economy, the Epstein files, and even saying his rhetoric has inspired death threats toward her and her family, including her kids. Before we dive into all of it, if you enjoy this video and want to support the channel, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on alerts. Now, I really recommend watching the full 60 Minutes interview. We're only covering a few clips here, but this is major. Greene used to be MAGA's fiercest warrior, Trump's loudest defender, biggest fundraiser, the high priestess of the MAGA cult, and now we're witnessing the fallout from their final breakup. She isn't mocking him the way he's mocking her, but she is going full scorched earth, calling out his weaknesses, his hypocrisy, and his lies across multiple issues. And to start, let's look at this moment.
After President Trump called me a traitor, I got a pipe bomb threat on my house, and then I got several direct death threats on my son.
On your son?
On my son.
You say the president put your life in danger. You blame him. You say he fueled a hotbed of threats against me, and that you blame him for the threats against your son.
The subject line for the direct death threats on my son was his words, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Let me pause on this point. I'm not a parent myself. I have 13 nieces and nephews and 4 sisters, but no kids of my own, nor do I want any. Even so, I can't imagine what it must feel like to have a child's life threatened at any age. And in Greene's case, to know that the person whose rhetoric fueled those threats is the same political leader she spent years defending, promoting, and elevating, that has to be devastating. Honestly, she would be completely justified in being far angrier than she is. She should be angrier, not only at Trump, but at herself. Marjorie Taylor Greene helped empower the man who ultimately endangered her own life and the lives of her children. And the truth is, none of this was unpredictable. Maybe she didn't expect him to turn it on her, but the behavior itself was familiar. He had done it for years against Democrats, liberals, progressives, blue cities, and blue states. And she cheered him on the entire time. So no, she doesn't get the moral high ground here. She played a major role in creating this environment, and that should be acknowledged, and it has been. She has been told repeatedly, "You helped build this. You were one of the biggest contributors to this mess. You share responsibility, and you should feel some shame and accountability for it." I'll note that when CNN asked her about her role in the toxicity of today's politics about a month ago, she admitted she messed up and apologized. And yes, that's good. But even so, I still can't imagine what it must feel like. Not just the anger at Trump, but the weight of knowing she helped make this possible in the first place.
Those are death threats directly fueled by President Trump. I told him, I told J.D. Vance, I told them all, sent those directly to them.
Response?
J.D. Vance replied back to me, "We'll look into it." I got response back from President Trump that I will keep private, but it wasn't very nice.
Give us a hint of what the president said.
It was extremely unkind.
That just makes the whole situation even worse. So she does the reasonable thing, and she says, "Look, what you all are saying is having real-world consequences for me and for my son. Stop." I doubt anyone in Trump world looked very deeply into it, so J.D. Vance gets no credit from me. But for her to admit that Trump responded unkindly, that says a lot. Now, I don't have some huge well of sympathy for Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a grown woman in her 50s. She absolutely should have known better. If there is any path to redemption for her, and I'm not ruling it out, it looks like the one Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger took. They were Trump allies. They ignored the obvious red flags. Every liberal in America said this would happen. They warned that Trump's personality, his behavior, and his rhetoric were dangerous. Cheney and Kinzinger eventually listened, got off the Trump train, and then committed to supporting Democrats to stop the damage. That's what actual accountability looks like. If Greene were serious about redemption, she'd acknowledge her role in the GOP's collapse into a personality cult. She'd say, "I helped break this. I empowered him. My mistake is permanent, and I'm going to help fix the damage by supporting Democrats going forward." That's what she should be doing. But she's not there. She still takes shots at Democrats. She still softens her critiques of Trump. And honestly, I don't know how she does that. How she continues protecting him even after he helped create a situation that endangered her own child, and then doubled down with total indifference. A normal person would have said, "Marge, look, I'm angry with you, but I obviously didn't intend for anything to affect you or your son. I'm sorry." Trump won't do that. He's incapable of empathy. He's a malignant narcissist who cannot take responsibility for anything. Here's the next clip.
Are you saying that the president now is siding with those establishment powerful people and against MAGA?
He passed a crypto bill that helped out all the crypto donors. He has served Israel's interest, even attacking Iran. He has served Big Pharma. He didn't take away the COVID vaccines that we want to see taken away. So those are the areas that are still getting everything they want, while the people, we're still out here saying we want to see action on areas for the American people, not for the major industries and the big donors.
She's basically admitting that Donald Trump is the swamp creature himself, a full-fledged product of the establishment. And honestly, it's refreshing to hear that coming from someone who used to be the most committed MAGA loyalist of her era. Because anyone who was paying attention, anyone not blinded by hypocrisy, has been saying this from day one. If you're president of the United States, you are, by definition, not counterculture. You are not anti-establishment. You are the establishment. Trump pushed tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy. That's establishment. Trump ballooned the military budget. That's establishment. He talks like a populist outsider, but he governs exactly like an establishment figure, and in some of the worst, most harmful ways. So when people say Trump is anti-establishment, Trump is draining the swamp, it's nonsense. The laziest, dumbest political analysis out there. It was never true. And I'm glad Marjorie Taylor Greene is finally acknowledging reality. But let's be clear. This didn't suddenly become true last week. It's been true all along. Which means that every year she defended Trump as an anti-establishment hero, she was either lying or she was clueless. But either way, she was wrong. Every Democrat who called this out was right, and she was not. Someone needs to press her on this. The criticism she's now making about Trump, they've always applied. So was she lying to the public, or did she genuinely not understand what was happening? Because with Republicans like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, you can see the shift. They lied to themselves for years trying to justify Trump, then finally reached their breaking point and said, "Enough. This is hurting the country." Greene's motivations feel more tangled. There's real frustration, sure. There's resentment that Trump didn't back her Senate ambitions. There's personal spite. There's loyalty to her base. It's a mix. Her journey is going to be messy and interesting to watch. But before we move on, here's one final clip, because Trump is out there pretending there's no affordability crisis in America. And here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene has to say about that.
Affordability is a real issue.
President says it's not. Says it's a hoax, affordability.
It's one of the top issues, not only in my district, it's across the country.
So once again, she's basically saying that Donald Trump is either wrong, lying, or just plain stupid. Honestly, probably all of the above. It's wild stuff. And I definitely recommend watching the full 60 Minutes interview yourself. Marjorie Taylor Greene on 60 Minutes is genuinely fascinating, especially considering that the last time she was on that show talking to Leslie Stahl, she was spewing garbage like calling the Democratic Party an evil party of groomers and pedophiles. That was the kind of disgusting, divisive rhetoric she proudly used against Democrats just a couple of years ago. And now, here she is back on 60 Minutes, criticizing Trump. And on many points, correctly. And look, I genuinely believe in roads to redemption. I believe in using wild card, rogue Republicans to expose Trump and the MAGA movement. But it is still incredible to me, truly stunning, that even after everything she's been through, including death threats and threats made directly against her own son, she still holds back at moments. Even so, she's still going nuclear on Trump in a lot of ways, still burning that bridge, calling him out for his lies, his hypocrisy, and his failure to handle major issues. In the meantime, let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comment, and until next time, I will see you soon.